HHS has determined that mRNA technology poses more risks than benefits for these respiratory viruses. That's why, after extensive review, BARDA has begun the process of terminating these 22 contracts, totaling just under $500 million.
RFK Jr. sent shockwaves through the medical community this week, cutting funding for the technology that brought us vaccines like the COVID shot. It is a stunning turn of events. Just 4 years ago, with Operation Warp Speed, the mRNA technology was hailed as a scientific breakthrough by none other than President Trump, and he praised it again today.
Operation Warp Speed was, whether you're Republican or Democrat, considered one of the most incredible things ever done in this country. The efficiency, the way it was done, the distribution, everything about it has been amazing. But, you know, that was now a long time ago, and we're on to other things.
With us now, Dr. Drew Pinsky, Chief Medical Board Member of the Wellness Company. It's good to see you, sir, as always. Let's not debate vaccines because it never makes sense to me, but I want to understand the politics of this. How do we take medicine back to being about science, not about politics?
Well, I mean, I have to sort of unravel everything you set up for me here. One is I've been asking the same thing, and that's what RFK Jr. assured me was his goal. He has always been about good science, about world-class science. The problem is, and I talked to Brett, I spoke at a podium once about this very issue, and Brett Weinstein came running up to me and said, this is the problem. We're not teaching science. We don't teach this delicate mechanism, this instrument we call the scientific method. Scientific method was something developed by Francis Bacon. It's an instrument for examining reality, and it has not changed. We just don't teach it properly. And so we're not using really good scientific methodology, and we're allowing things to be adulterated on top of that by concerns about money and politics. And yes, it has been a mess. And it's taken somebody like RFK Jr. to come in and sort these things out. I want to say this, is that it's possible at once for both things to be true, that we shouldn't be funding mRNA research for respiratory viruses where it's clear that the signals of danger from the vaccine are worse than the potential benefit from the vaccine. It doesn't eliminate the platforms. It doesn't mean that people can't continue research on mRNAs. Trust me, it will go on. It can also be true that Project Warp Speed was a success. It was an emergency. The problem with Project Warp Speed is that the next administration took what they had done and turned it into a mandate, and they did not have the bioethical standing for a mandate, and that's where everything jumped off the rail.
So if we were to put a face to all of this, it would be Fauci, where the inflection point that things got political?
It's certainly, there was an opportunity there for things to move towards transparency and open discourse. Instead, we moved towards silencing and cancellations. And this, you know, listen, you got to remember at the end of that whole period, like 2 years into this, we started reconsidering. In this country, there were people advocating for the reconsideration of the First Amendment of the Bill of Rights. That's how crazy we got. And I would argue that some of the hearings around COVID is where things really got rolling that direction. The history books will not be kind to this.
I would agree with you on that, but I think there's now this sort of fundamental breakdown of trust, right? In that at the same point, yes, the experts lost an enormous amount of trust. I call it the experts, Fauci, the CDC cabal, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, there's equal distrust of RFK Jr. and I think of some of the things you're saying on the other side, because it's political. If Donald Trump is behind something or Donald Trump's people are behind something, half of America doesn't believe it. How do you all rebuild trust with that side?
You know, I don't know that I understand that, except that much of the consternation, much of the outrage, much of the hysteria has been exactly that. hysterical. And the way you deal with a hysterical person is you calm them down. And one thing I've noticed is that many of these business models in media for outlets that have been causing some of the stirring of people's hysterias, like late night television, those business models don't work anymore. There just is not a business model for that. So these fuels, the fuel, the hysteria is beginning to die down, and people will begin to look at the consequences or the reality of what these changes of policies have been. And I'm going to predict that people are not going to die. We don't have to be hysterical about it. It's not going to be the end of the world. It's just a shift. And that shift, I would argue, is in a good direction. We were no longer going to be adulterated by forces that shouldn't have been involved in science or medicine in the first place.
Yeah, well, you make a great point. When we were all forbidden to ask the questions, moving in that direction simply would not work. So, Dr. Drew, we appreciate calmness rather than hysteria on this program. It's why we keep having you and enjoy it so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.